Okay, the guys from Aspire, which is the trenching contractor for Tillman Fiber, have left, hopefully for the last time. They came back this morning to fix one remaining leak, which actually turned out to be two. Let's start real quick over here with just a reminder about how our irrigation system works. I have all the zones marked on this little blue plaque there. And so whenever we want to test something, we can run it in manual mode. And so while we're talking, we'll run zone 1. So to do that, I just set this to manual mode, and by default it starts at zone 1, but if you want to go somewhere else, you can use this hand icon. Like if we wanted to test the zone across the street there, that's zone 4, and across this driveway there, that's also zone 4. We would just press this little hand icon and go up to number 4, and then that's the runtime it's showing there. So once we put this dial to run after it's been sitting in manual mode, it's going to run whatever zone. So in this case it would be 4 for however many minutes you specify, which by default is what it does for the normal timer. And this is how you change the plus minus, is how you change the number of minutes, and the hand icon is how you change which zone, at least when you're choosing zones to run in manual mode. So I'm just going to go, I'll actually use the hand icon here to go back to zone 1, which is right in front here next to us. And then this has to sit in manual for like 1 second after you make a change like that. Then you go to run, and it's going to count down to 0 from 35 for zone 1. So let's look what we have. So none of this was really affected. They had started to trench through here, but thank goodness I caught them. That was, I guess, last Monday, because if you guys remember, we had this AT&T metal tower or stump sticking out of the ground here, and the idea I had discussed with Tillman from the planning sessions over a year ago was to pull out all that AT&T cable that's not being used and put the fiber through there, not go through here like Aspire was going to do. So I caught them in time, and we did manage to get that done and get rid of that ugly AT&T stump. So let's talk about, I'm kind of digressing, let's talk about what they fixed, and I'll try to keep it short. So you might remember they trenched under here. They took out these first 2 rows, and the fiber was actually brought in from down there at the corner of 5th Avenue and University. That's where the main fiber backbone is. They had hit a water line here, which they fixed, and then I'm not sure how they got across the sidewalk to here. There might already be a conduit, but this was where things started to go awry, because once they started trenching in this area, they hit some of our irrigation lines. So they already fixed that last week, and like I said, there's a conduit here, but when they put these pavers back, they did not properly put the sand in between them and also seal them. So if you look closely, you can see they came back last week and sanded and sealed these properly. They did a good job. And so we also had damage on this side, and so that's kind of covered up, but they replaced, they fixed that last week, and then it continues through here. And the last place where we had a leak was somewhere from under here. Originally this line was leaking. There's another drip line up there that was leaking. They had patched that last week, but there was still one more leak that was dribbling down the sidewalk. So they fixed that last leak today. And so this again, this is all zone 1, and that's the zone that we started up, so you can see here. So as far as I can tell, there's no leaks in zone 1, and now we can test zone 4. So we'll go back to manual mode, and instead of zone 1 we'll use the hand icon to go up to 4, and then we have to just let it sit on number 4 for like 1 second while the dial's on manual, and then we'll go to run. And this is all in this little card I put in there too. Okay, so zone 4, which I just started, is on the north side of the sidewalk in the right-of-way, and it's mostly turf heads. And it also is way over there on the east side of the driveway. That's right-of-way as well. And I'm not sure this was even working before, but it's working now, so it's possible they fixed something that wasn't working, because they had to really rejigger. There is a complex mass of hoses and connections under here, and so yeah, they made a couple of parts runs to take care of that. Now maybe the last thing to talk about is the sprinkler heads here on the east side of the driveway that are not in the right-of-way, and those are also kind of connected through there over to the irrigation controller there. These are the ones that were working before, are working again now. We have a few over here. These are actually drip lines, so I think these are drip lines. So they both carry water to heads, and they also drip. Definitely the ones in the ivy are drip lines, because that's what keeps the ivy irrigated. Anyway, Denise and I don't really understand why these ones aren't working. They get fed from over here. They're not in the area that the Aspire crew was working. And this part, you can see, this part is on. So it goes around the transformer, which, by the way, Duke Energy replaced our underground power there. It's possible they toppled something, but we don't know. We think maybe these haven't worked for a long time. It's just a couple of heads over here. So we'll probably have Michael fix that. All right, I guess the only other issue to address is these markings. And as Denise and I were just chatting about, this is something that happens all over the country. If you Google this, when a contractor calls 811, the municipality comes out and marks where everything is with a combination of flags and paint. And I think I mentioned I removed the flags. Tillman removed the flags. They only were working up to this point. And so the contractor that requested up to a particular point is responsible for removing the flag. And they did. They're also technically responsible, as far as I can tell from reading about it, to get rid of the paint. But they very often do not. So Ed at Aspire, the supervisor who came out, said he could not remove these flags because a different contractor called them in. And so I did remove the ones, even though this is right away. I removed the ones here. The other contractor was working from 3rd Street along 5th Avenue all the way. You can see there are flags all the way down there in front of the bookstore and markings. So I'm trying to get hold of that contractor and see if, even though the contractors usually do not remove this stuff, but see if, since they actually made the call to 811, at least from this point down, see if they can come and remove these markings. All right, thank you for watching.